Hello everybody, welcome to the Fly Ride podcast. Here on my right, Logan. Then we have Stefano once again. And our guest today, Anthony. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. So let's start a little bit about talking about yourself. They might not know you, so introduce yourself. How old are you? What do you do?
So my name's Anthony DiPilla. I'm 34 years old. I've sold insurance for the last 13 years, so property casualty, auto, home, commercial. And last year I just really got deep into the NFT space and just doing pretty much both those right now. And
You like it?
I love it.
So when did you get into NFTs and how did that happen?
So I got into NFTs, I'm not sure if you've heard of Gary Vee or Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. So I got two younger brothers. My middle brother, one day I was over his house in the backyard, and I got big into collecting sports cards again a few years back. And he knew that. And he's like, have you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vee? And I'm like, never heard of the guy before. And he's like, well, here's some videos. He's big into sports cards, and he's predicting these players' cards going up, and which they did. And I'm like, this guy seems pretty smart. So I started following him. And after following him for 6-8 months, he started making videos and content about NFTs. And I saw more and more articles and videos, and I just kind of got curious, and I went down a wormhole and spent $50, $100 just researching what NFTs are and how they can be utilized. And that's pretty much what got me in the space.
What year was that? Was that last year?
Yeah, it was last year. Well, last year, my first NFT I bought was May of last year.
Okay.
And I started watching videos and reading articles probably like March-ish. I mean, I saw videos and articles earlier, but I didn't really start paying attention until March, a few months before his launch was about to happen. This project.
Okay.
So before getting into NFTs, were you already into crypto or that kind of world, or as soon as you knew about NFTs, then that's when you learn about cryptos as well?
Yeah, the NFTs got me in the whole crypto world. So I had purchased some XRP or crypto right before the pandemic started.
You remember XRP?
Yeah, that was my first experience with crypto. I know a lot of friends that were into it, but never really, to be honest, interested me. And I just heard about XRP and the whole plumbing system of crypto all over the world, and I just thought it was a good use case, with that and with Ripple and everything. And that was the only crypto I really got into, but didn't do anything aside from that.
So I did the same with XRP, and then I remember that I think now on Coinbase you cannot. So if you bought it, you cannot.
You can't move it.
You cannot move it yet.
Correct.
Because they went in a lawsuit or something.
Correct. Yeah.
So did they win it?
I'm not sure. I just know it's still in Coinbase. I still will check it periodically. You can't move anything.
I believe it's still under review. That I don't think they're finished with the lawsuit, the outcome yet.
Oh, really?
The SEC is the one who filed the lawsuit against them.
Okay.
Because they're trying to say it's a security, which it's really not. It's a currency. So that's the debate right now.
Okay. It's funny because you remember buying it and then sold it when I made some profit, and then I didn't buy it, and then that's when it happened that I couldn't really move it anymore. So it was very interesting. So you got into NFTs a year ago, and what was your first project that you were I would like to invest in this project, and how did you find it?
So the first one was actually VeeFriends. It was Gary Vee's
VeeFriends.
project.
Okay.
So all the material that Gary put out was essentially you getting your digital wallet set up to be able to purchase NFTs, and just how he explained what he's going to do with his project and how he's going to build out the IP of these characters in his project over the next 30-40 years. The whole concept, everything really made sense to me. So actually going into it, I only wanted to buy one NFT, just to buy it, and it sounded cool. But then once I bought that NFT, which was May 11th, was my first NFT I bought.
May 11th?
May 11th of 2021.
Okay.
And once I bought that first NFT, and I started hanging out with people in the Discord and just learning more and different use cases, I'm like, holy shit, this is going to change the world for sure. Just there's so many different use cases.
How much did you buy that first one for?
So my first one was right around either 2.1 or 2.2 Ethereum. It was a Dutch auction when they had their launch, which means it starts at a price point, and over time it goes down to a lower price point.
Right.
And he mentioned that that character was going to be a big character. We'd be happy first if we bought. It was a Perspective Pigeon is the NFT I bought.
Okay, I was going to.
And so I bought that for, I think it was 2.1 or 2.2 Ethereum, and then that was the first collab they did. Was actually the hat I'm wearing now which is the pigeon and
Right.
friends and whatnot. But yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So do you use the Discord and Twitter to do your research before?
Yeah. Discord, Twitter, also YouTube as well. I like to watch a lot of different videos on YouTube, and then over time I've just learned which guys are good to follow, guys and girls are good to follow and keep track of. And I've had people in the Discord, like in the very beginning days, like the first 2-3 months, so many people were like so willing to help me out. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning, and just the Discord and Twitter helped me out tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we should probably move back to like the people that don't know what NFTs are. What's your definition of like an NFT?
So NFT is it's a non-fungible token, so it's a digital asset. So a lot of times, almost every time, the NFT is represented by a picture, a JPEG, and a lot of people will get that confused with, they'll say you can like right-click and save an image. How do I actually own it? Well, you own it because that blockchain, like the Ethereum blockchain, verifies ownership of that digital asset. So that's essentially.
That's why everybody that's new to it's like, I can just screenshot it. You can't screenshot it.
Yeah,
There's a blockchain that tells you.
You could screenshot it, but the whole point is you're not going to be able to sell it regardless for that amount.
And if you think about it, like the blockchain is like in NFTs is like the what's the right word?
An authenticator?
Yeah, it's like, because anybody can walk in front, like I can walk in front of a house and take a picture and say I own this house.
Right.
Nobody can really, I mean, if they're far away, they can really verify if you own it or not.
A lot of people flexing on like Instagram.
Yeah, when you take pictures on a car and everything.
The blockchain can verify that.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense.
Yep.
So that would get rid of maybe a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope. I mean, a lot of times, you'll see people get called out on Twitter all the time if they have like a Bored Ape and somebody owns it and they know that person does. Right. Like, hey, wait a minute, I own that. You don't own it, and you can verify it.
And then you got, isn't it for certain projects that you got the actual rights to that picture?
Yeah, every single project is different with their IP rights. Some let the NFT owner own it. I know VFriends, Gary owns the IP to the VFriends, which is fine because it all depends on what that group's going to do. Whether we want him to build out the characters, and I mean
you don't
give
have
him the
to
control.
feel like you don't have to do anything really to gain any value.
Yeah, some projects is good for you to own the IP. Some is good for the creator to own it if that creator can deliver value to the holders. Right. To me, it doesn't really matter if I own it or they own it. It just depends long term.
What would you say would be the value of you having the rights to the IP? Like World of Women, I believe that when you had the rights to the IP.
For the listeners, what does it mean when you have the rights of the IP?
So like when you have the commercial rights to use that image, like if you want to attach it to a business that you're going to create, like if I created like Anthony's Ice Cream and I use my mutant ape as my logo of the business, I can use that, and then in any money I make obviously from that business, I own that. Where with VFriends, because Gary owns the IP in that project, I wouldn't be able to like use something without like his permission or anything along those lines.
Okay, so it makes sense. Yeah. So going back to what was your question? I think you just asked something.
I was saying, what's the value? But that kind of played into it. So if you're starting a company, then I guess that makes sense, and you're using a logo. But is there anything else that?
Yeah, well, one big thing is that like a lot of people too are so attached to their NFTs because they've built businesses around like the CryptoPunks, like which is one of the largest NFT projects out there. Some people have built businesses around the CryptoPunks that they own. So like, in order for them to sell that, I've seen some people try to offer their businesses along with their NFT just because it all meshes together. So
package.
Yeah.
Is there a utility for CryptoPunks?
CryptoPunks, no, there's not a utility for that.
I mean, the main thing for that was just inclusivity. Is that?
Yeah, it was the first 10,000 like PFP NFT project ever released.
That was the very first one.
Correct. Like Curio cards were the first like artwork on the blockchain.
Right.
CryptoPunks was the first 10,000 unique one-of-one different avatars.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. So as of right now, after like this long time of experience, what other addition you added to your collection besides VFriends, if you have any? So so I've added a bunch since then. I mean, I've been spending literally every day in the Discord just learning about new projects and talking to people in the space. But Stefano mentioned World of Women was a big one. I really like that project just because it's just it's very inclusive. It's 10,000 unique women avatars, and the community is great. World of Women. Another one I got into recently in December is Proof Collective. Proof Collective. We were actually talking about
the
because
Grails.
they just came out with the Grails.
Yeah, and that's cool because it's essentially it's like a gated community in a way where you need that pass to get into their private Discord.
Okay.
And it's where all these top-notch collectors in the space all communicate and share information and whatnot. And the only way you can get into that is by owning.
By owning one of those, and being able to connect with those people makes you able to understand what are the next projects or that kind of stuff. So
it's just if you think about it in a way, it's just like it's networking in a space that's new and growing with some of the smartest minds in the space.
Yeah.
So if they know certain creators, and because the way I look at it with NFT projects is you want to invest in the creator of the project because they're the ones that are going to deliver you value over time. So the people in this community, they know a lot of different creators and just different people in general in the space, which gives you kind of a little leg up, with information.
It definitely makes sense. I also saw lately with this idea of NFTs and Discords, it happens a lot that there is fraud. So I don't know if you ever had experience of that, but can you tell the people that are listening to us, how are you able to protect yourself? There we go, protect yourself.
And kind of what are the scams out there to watch out for, and definitely what has happened to you since you've started, if there has been anything.
Yeah, there's a ton of, not to scare anybody away, because that's one of the things I always tell everybody when you're getting into the space for the first time is before you ever do anything, like double and triple check it, because once you do something and something wrong happens, you can't get that NFT back, and you can't get that Ethereum back or the crypto or anything in the space. So there's many different ways where you can get scammed or hacked. There's websites out there that try to mirror the website name that they want to try to get people to come to where they can phish them, where they click a bad link. Or one of the biggest ways people get scammed in the space is when they're in the Discord. There's an option where you can turn your DMs off to where people can't message you unless you're friends with them. That's where I see people get scammed the most. I actually got scammed a month into last year on a trade for an NFT.
Really?
Somebody pretended to be Gary Vee and reached out to me about doing a trade, and I thought it was him. And the guy talked just like him in the Discord. He used his same avatar, his same Discord name. And as soon as I sent the NFT, and I was just learning at the time, all of a sudden his picture went away, his name changed to the scammer's name, and the message started getting deleted real time. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How much was that NFT worth at that time?
At the time, it was worth about 10 Ethereum, so it was worth about 25, 30 grand at the time. And it was in the very beginning of me collecting too, so it was it was
a big hit.
Yeah,
what project was that?
It was Deadheads. It was
actually
Deadheads.
Okay.
It was a gold skeleton. It was there's only, I believe, 19 gold skeletons out of the 10,000 in the project.
Wow.
So it was a pretty rare one, and I wanted to try to trade him for a V friend that he had at the time. And it was
that's tough.
It's a big hit.
Yes. So when you figured it out, you probably felt super bad.
Yeah, it was crazy. I actually, and even to get even crazier is that one of my friends I met in the space, we ended up tracking down the guys, the kids or guys that scammed myself. They scammed other people in the community, and we found the guys essentially, and we got them to send their tokens back to a lot of people in the community that they scammed.
Really?
It's a crazy story. It'll probably take forever to tell you it, but yeah.
Oh, so you were able to reach out to get him and make him send back everything?
Yeah, so we ended up, because they always say whenever there's a murder, they say that a murderer always comes back to the scene. Well, we were trying to find out, we just threw something on the Discord, hey, we know who the scammers are, and the scammer actually reached out to my buddy, and he's like, well, what do you have on this guy? What do you have on these guys or girls, And then my buddy said that it sounded kind of fishy, and we started pressing him, and then we just kind of tracked some things on Etherscan and went down a wormhole and found these people's names on Etherscan. And these kids, I think they were in college, and we pretty much called their bluff, and it was wild, and got in this chat.
Incredible. Because since there is no an actual regulation, this kind of fraud, I don't know if it's actually something that is illegal, legal, just because there is not much regulation about it.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work actually, with government control. Okay, if somebody does scamming, scamming in general is probably an illegal thing, but specifically for NFTs or crypto, if somebody steals it from you, are you even able to take like some kind of legal action against somebody if you did find out who it was?
So when this first happened, a lot of people like in the community, because mind you, I was only in the space for about a month at the time, and people were like, I would for sure file a report with the FBI online, because at the time it was worth $25,000-$30,000, and because they tried to impersonate being somebody that they weren't, and I wish I would have took screenshots of when I saw the image and the name, but by the time that everything happened, that all got deleted and was gone. I even tried to reach out to Discord to see if I could get chat transcripts or something, but I didn't get a response on that. But it ended up working out.
Right.
For the people that don't know how to go about buying NFTs, can you take us step by step of how to do that if they are not involved in that world or space yet?
Yeah, and this might change in the near future too, just because. So Coinbase, obviously, I'm sure all of you have heard of Coinbase. They're launching their NFT platform, and they're going to try to streamline this process to make it much easier to bring more people in. But right now, what you would do is you'd purchase either, depending on the blockchain you want to buy an NFT from, either Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, and you'd purchase that cryptocurrency, wherever you want to buy the NFTs from, on Coinbase, and then you create what's called a hot wallet, like a MetaMask wallet, and you could transfer your Ethereum from Coinbase to MetaMask, and then your MetaMask is what you attach to different websites, or to OpenSea, which is like the eBay in a way of the NFT space right now, where you can buy and sell and
so MetaMask is the kind of wallet that is accepted by all these shopping platform.
Yep, the Coinbase has a wallet too. MetaMask, there's one called Rainbow, I believe. There's different wallets. I just know a lot of them support MetaMask, and when I started, that was the one that Gary really pushed to use was MetaMask. Yeah. So I just got comfortable with that one, and I'd say pretty much anything you're looking to do on the Ethereum blockchain, MetaMask will work.
Okay, so exactly. So once you set up your wallet, then you're like, perfect. Now I want to go find the NFT that I like, an NFT that is gonna make a profit for me. What steps do you take right there? You just go on OpenSea and just look at the trending collections, or you go on other websites? So what's your process to decide if you want to invest in that project?
So usually I'll like to see if I hear anybody talking about it in the Discords I'm in, or just to find out about the creators. And then anytime there is a project, if it's been around for a while, I'll go on OpenSea and I'll type the project in the search bar up top. And all verified projects on OpenSea will have a blue check mark next to it, because as you can imagine, people are trying to create scam projects to match VFriends and other ones. Exactly. As they get deleted, scammers try to create new ones. But I always just try to make sure there's a blue check mark next to that, and there's other different sites that show different rarities and attributes for NFTs. But I mostly just hang out in the Discords and see from there, or just search on OpenSea. And
when does a Discord looks good to you? Like a Discord that is very active is a good Discord, or maybe when it's too active, that means there are a lot of scammers, or people advertising their NFT on that Discord.
Or I would even say maybe a lot of people that are gonna just try to flip it, flip the project, and it could just be So
what is a good Discord server?
So I honestly, it's. You're asking what project is a good Discord server, or
when you look at a Discord, you're like, okay, this Discord is pretty active, and I think the people on here are actually talking about the right stuff, or explain the project and everything. So that's a good Discord. Or there are other
attributes, I would say,
characteristics in a Discord that make you think this is a good server.
So I really try to. I really just use my own intuition when I'm in the Discords. I just try to get the vibe that's in the Discord. What are they talking about? Are they just talking about the floor price of the NFTs? Are they talking about how they're going to utilize them? I mean, and over time, there's just so many NFT projects right now. I'm in 60 or 70 Discords, maybe more, and I really only pay attention to 3 or 4. Okay. Because you just can't. There's not enough time in the day to be in every single one of them, and and over time you can meet friends too that maybe they keep an eye on 2 or 3, I keep an eye on 2 or 3, and if there's any big news, we'll share that news. But that's what happens in that Proof Collective I mentioned. A lot of times people just communicate in there, and there's not much talk about floor price. It's just good quality conversation,
So I always compare OpenSea to Magic Eden. I don't know if you know
No.
So Magic Eden is this it's just like an OpenSea but for Polygon.
Okay.
So for Solana, so you don't have a gas fee, right? So about this gas fee, is it more is this safer to go with the OpenSea, with the Ethereum blockchain, where you pay a gas fee, or like what's the difference between Ethereum that you pay a gas fee and, for example, Solana that you don't have as many gas fees?
I would just say, like, right now, for I don't know too much of like the detailed differences, but I would say, like, right now it's the Ethereum blockchain is where most of the attention is. A lot of the eyes are on the Ethereum blockchain just because there's just so much more that's out there right now.
Yeah.
But that the gas fees, I mean, even when Ethereum, I don't want to get too far off track, but when Ethereum has their merge, people thought that gas fees were kind of going to go away, but they're really not, because that gas fee is going to go to a staker instead of a miner. But anyways, like, so Solana, they don't necessarily have, we don't pay any gas fees. Where there's layer 2s right now, like side chains, like Immutable X, to where they're utilizing the layer 1 Ethereum chain, and it's as like a settlement layer, but you're not paying gas, but you're still using the Ethereum blockchain. If that makes sense.
Yeah, where do you see this NFT space going to, like, in our futures? Because people are like, right now we look at it as investment terms and whatnot. Other people talk about where this is going to actually lead the world. Like, where do you see this taking us?
I think, like, me personally, I think that NFTs are one of the biggest, like, shifts, and I know for sure in my lifetime. I mean, even since the internet, just because there's no reason for every business out there to not have an NFT project of some sort, because you're essentially, hooking up directly with your fan and your audience. There's no middleman like an eBay per se, or it's just you and the creator. When you create something and you attach an NFT to it, anytime it trades on OpenSea or different platforms, you as the creator are always earning a royalty. So right now, where people sell things on eBay makes that fee, and the creators or the initial manufacturers of those items that are being sold, they don't get anything. Like in real world artists right now, you sell that one painting, say it goes to Christie's or Sotheby's, and it sells. Well, the art house gets the fee, not you. NFTs are going to change that, so all creators are going to get paid now.
Yeah, we talk about that with like cars and houses and stuff. How there's a middleman that does the paperwork and everything, and this is going to kind of just take that out. It's a digital transfer in between, so you no longer have to go to those people. It makes it a easier process and honestly more convenient for everybody.
Digital ledger, everything's out there too, and I mean. And I think long term the IRS is going to love it too, because I think they're going to end up like creating a bot where they can just attach it to your wallet and it'll just compute on either scan, because it's all public knowledge.
That makes sense. How much you're going to be able to have to pay them right away.
They're going to know it. They'll know right to the dollar.
They'll probably be able to take it right out as they want.
Exactly. So I saw a lot of like NFT projects and everything, but what do you think about the virtual world? Like NFTs right now, you can go and buy an actual image. What happened about when you go and buy an actual piece of like virtual land? Is that something that you can, I don't know, like rent it out maybe, or people can like build something on top of it one day? So what do you think about this virtual world idea?
I think the virtual world is we're still pretty far away in my opinion. I think that kind of NFTs are now, which tie in with like the metaverse, but I think that's further out. I think when that's really going to come into play is when people come home from work and they're going to want to throw their VR set on right away, and like everyone's going to want to do that, because until that happens, I just don't think there's going to be enough eyes there or attention to it. But I think it's huge, down the line, because when it gets to that point, think about it. If you own land in an area where there are a lot of eyes, I mean, that's perfect for you to lease out, whether it's a billboard or something on your digital land to a larger company that wants to pay for that viewership. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity there. But then metaverse is infinite, where anybody can build their own. It just costs money. Yeah. So it's going to be a game of where is the attention going to be.
Right. It's just like it's going to be the entirety of like a city. Where is the street that is most important?
Yeah. Like Vegas Boulevard. Exactly. All the attention's there.
So it's going to be something like that.
So that's why with like people with Snoop Dogg. Like
right.
And then people bought the sandbox for a lot of money. Yeah. That's probably why. Same thing. He's going to bring a lot of attention. So.
Yep. So I've got some land in the sandbox I bought about 8 months ago, and it was it's right next to where the Walking Dead game's going to be. Okay. So we just got in early with just a group of people that I met through like the VFriends community, and we all bought, like I bought 2 parcels, but we all went in on a 6x6, so a 36 parcel space. And it was the same sort of thing. We were looking for a good area of where a lot of eyes would go to over time.
What's the actual like measurements? I was very lost on when people were saying how big it was, like in the metaverse. Like, what is that actually?
It's like squares. Sometimes.
Yeah. How many squares?
I'm going to be honest with you. I have no clue, because I
have like 6x6. Like
Well, 6x6 is the amount of parcels, so there's 36 parcels. And I mean, it's a decent size, but like you could sell your individual parcels on OpenSea. But we just kind of made an agreement to where all of us are not going to sell unless we sell it together as one down the line. But it was more of like a buy, hold type of thing for me, and then you know, eventually I'll build on it. But it's nothing that's like urgent right now. I just wanted to have some land.
Right, that makes sense.
Seemed like a good opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
With the utility stuff, like I just saw recently, the Bored Ape Yacht Club put together a whole thing, and they had an event. I don't know if you saw anything about that.
Yeah, so they have events pretty much, you know, quite often. I was at the NFT NYC last fall, and I believe it was the first week of November, but. I have a mutant ape, so I was able to go to all their events. There was like a warehouse party. There was like a yacht party that was the opening night, but I didn't get a chance to make it to that. But a lot of different things you could go to, and you just would, you know, essentially they had this app where you would verify that you owned your mutant ape or your Bored Ape, and you were able to go to the event. You know, like a little baby was there, and a bunch of people, and it was just like free drinks, free food, and it was all included for you being.
Was he just interacting with them?
No, he was on stage. It was there was like 5 performers. I only remember his, but I was only there for about an hour because I had to go to like different events and stuff. But that was really cool. It was packed. You know?
I bet.
Did you go to NFT LA?
I did not. No.
Is that still going on?
I'm not sure. I just know the most recent, like South by Southwest, but that's not necessarily for NFTs. But yeah, I'm not sure if that one is. I got a couple events I'm going to in the near future. But
are you thinking about going? I know World of Women's doing their gala. I don't know when it is.
Yeah, possibly if I can make it.
Or where it is.
Yeah, if I can make it. I mean, I got a couple events. I'm going to New York this month, and then VCon is next month.
Right.
I mean, in May. And then NFT NYC is going to be in June this year. So I recommend anyone that's even thinking about like creating NFTs or buying to go there. Yeah. It's just a really good opportunity to meet people, to see how things work. And
that was one of those utilities too from getting the VFriends, is that you got the ticket. That is kind of your ticket, right?
Yeah. For VCon, the one in May, NFT NYC, you can just buy a ticket and then show up and go to all the events.
How much is that usually?
So the initial like opening, I think it's like $300 a person, and then like once it sells out in the early like phase, the later phase, I think the cost is like double, so it's like $600. But then there's like VIP levels and stuff.
I'm sure it'd be much more expensive for that, but
yeah.
What about the like minting process? Like, do you ever mint NFTs, or is that how you get started with some of these projects early?
Yeah, so I'll mint, and essentially what minting means is when you attach like your MetaMask wallet to a site of a brand new project that's launching, you're the first person to buy it essentially from that site, and it gets minted directly from their platform to your wallet. Yeah. And then anything else, if you're going to buy in secondary, would be different. But yeah, I'll mint projects when they're newer, obviously when they're first launching. But yeah.
So about like you have your collection where you invested to. Do you have in mind to actually create your own NFTs or something like that? Is something that you would like to do, or you like to stay more on the side where you just buy them and just invest?
Yeah, no. Now at this stage, I'm trying to look in as far as creating with people. I mean, that's my goal now that I have a good understanding of the space. I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means. I know a lot in the space, but there's so many smart people, and I just wanted to get a good grasp of everything before I wanted to look to see what I wanted to do in the space. Because I mean, you can go the route of like coding or just being a marketer. There's so many different things you can do in this space, but I just know I want to be in this space. I mean, me being an insurance agent, I mean, my goal is to get out of insurance and to do this completely full time, whether it's creating and collecting.
So, how much is important in creating and especially collecting that the creators of the NFTs are like doxed? So, is that very important in the world, or some project that they don't even know who the owners are and people just like buy them?
I think everybody in the space thinks different, but for the majority, most people like the owners to be doxed, to where you know all their information, their name and their social media accounts and whatnot. I think it's very important because the projects I invest in now, I want to know the creators, and I'm essentially investing in that person to deliver me value. If you're doing it for investment purposes and not just like a group to like hang out in and you want to make money on it long term, I say whoever you're investing in, make sure that person's going to be around in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because say a project's hot right now and say the project owners make millions of dollars and all of a sudden they don't want to do it anymore and they want to go off and just spend their money, what happens to the project? I mean, it could tank, it could go to zero. So bet on people that will always deliver value. That's my 2 cents, is just bet on.
No, that's what I was reading. So believing in the idea and the project of the person is actually very, very important, especially for a long term.
Yeah.
But have you ever like flipped like right away? I know a lot of people just like me, they buy right away and then they flip it after like 2 hours or something like that. Is that,
Yep, I have. I mean, usually in the beginning stage, everything I bought was like a long-term play for me. But as I like had my like blue chip NFTs that I like, didn't want to sell to anybody, I would mint just an NFT that looked like it was going to be a good opportunity to maybe flip and make 2, 3, 4 times your money really quick. But a lot of times I've tried to do that and got burned. It's so hard to pinpoint and day trade in the space. It really is. But I mean, it's fun if you do it on like a low scale. It's almost like low scale gambling in a way, just to see if
like a couple $100 in there.
What's the craziest gain you've had off of flipping?
Craziest gain off of flipping.
You could go off like time period too, I guess.
Question. Tough question. I mean, I was able to mint, a World of Women token. I was able to flip for quite a bit, like 6 figures, and I minted it for $240. But that was just a pure luck. I mean, it was like hitting the lottery in a way. I mean, that's what a lot of this comes down to.
You do need some luck sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. You got to be in the right groups, and you have to have a little bit of luck and luck and hard work. And I mean,
so when you first got into it, you talked about 2 Ethereum. So for the people that don't know, that's around like right now $7,000 pretty much.
Yeah, and that's roughly what it was. The launch, the VFriends launch, I think Ethereum was right around 4,000 at the time. Okay. So I think I paid close to about $7,500 for the NFT. But then those VFriends ended up like going down and sitting at the floor, which was a half Ethereum.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, you could buy the majority of the VFriends, like the cores, the very, very common ones, for $1,300. And now the cheapest one in that collection is $40,000-$50,000 to buy into, which is just crazy.
So what do you think is the value of your collection? What do you think that is right now? Is probably like high up?
Yeah, I'd say it's in 7 figures. I mean, it fluctuates quite a bit depending on the price of Ethereum, depending on how the project's doing. Yeah. So I mean, you could drive yourself crazy trying to keep track of it. I know there's like NFT portfolio trackers out there that show you like 4 different price points, and those are always going up and down. So I just kind of know in my head it's in the 7 figures, and it's just something that I have just put a lot of time into. Yeah. I literally flipped all my in real world items. I had a Corvette, just sold things to put into the space. I've got that much conviction that the space is going to do well over time.
So all these projects are for you long-term investment, right? It's something that you're not planning on selling right now. You really believe it's gonna boom.
Yeah, 90% of probably what I hold, or 90% of my value is in long-term like blue chip projects where I'm looking at like 10 plus years. By the time I'm in my mid 40s I can reassess then, because one common thing I hear in the space is that people that are buying NFTs now that have been around in like the crypto space for a long time, they said that if they would have held all their crypto from day one, they would have like hundreds of millions of dollars, but it 10x's and then they sell
right.
Yeah, and then they do something else. Yeah. If you're just patient, you just hold on to the good ones and just kind of like tuck them away.
Yeah,
I feel like you're going to end up being in a better spot with less work.
Yeah. Exactly. No, it makes sense. So like the first time that you bought the NFT was already at 2 Ethereum, so it was a pretty good amount for me, college student. I'm not able to put that amount right away. So what would you suggest to a person like me that doesn't have as much capital to put in NFTs, but for example, I have like $300-400 that I can use in NFTs. What do you like suggest to flip it and then aim for something bigger, or maybe find you think like a blue chip and just keep it?
Or is it even realistic to start with that amount, or would you say there is a certain amount that you should start with?
Yeah, I'd say there's not really a certain amount you should start with aside from like the initial entry price. What you should probably do is take that 300 and do like sell some things like in the real world and not like in the NFT space per se, and try to flip and make money in the real world. Because usually like the cheapest NFT project you can get into is usually right around, I guess, a couple $100, but it's at that point it'd be a pure gamble. Yeah. And the space is still very new, but now like when there's a new project that comes out with even a little bit of hype, there's professionals that have like bots that can mint hundreds or thousands of these NFTs quicker than like you or I can. So It's just, I'd say build your build your bag of money up a little bit until you can get to like $4,000 or $5,000, and then I would mess around with buying something that's already launched and maybe it's done well for a few months, and then put the money into that.
Makes sense. So, in evaluating if a project is going well, is the activity very important? Like, you know, when you go on OpenSea, you can check the activity of the collection. Is that important to look at?
I think it can be. It just depends. I mean, you'll notice a lot of activity like right after a project mints, where people are trying to get their stake in the project, whether they're buying more NFTs or if they want to flip. Or I almost feel like when there's a good project out there and the activity's low, in my opinion, not financial advice, but I always think it's a good time to buy, because whenever there's hype, that's when you notice the most activity, and that's when the prices are going up. So if someone's day trading in a way, I usually see like the day traders out there like sell into the hype, and they buy when there's no news and when there's no activity. But for me, I just kind of observe it really, because I'm not really day trading, so I just kind of notice those patterns.
Okay. Do you agree with, like, I know like Gary Vee talks about that, he thinks that maybe 98% of the projects that are in the space right now are going to tank at some point?
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000% agree.
And why is that then?
Just because there's so many, like I mentioned, so many like different cash grab projects where like somebody comes out with a different animal avatar, and that and they just hype behind it, and they have a team of people that pump it up pretty good on social media, and then people buy it, and then after that they just don't do anything with the project, and
It's
it's
not
just all
really
fake.
providing any value, it's just the picture.
Correct, and that's why I say you want to bet on the team and creator, because a lot of times if I create an NFT project and I know what I'm doing, I just create it, I raise money, and then it's like, what's next? And then you just see people trying to flip, and then it pretty much goes to, not to zero, but almost to zero. I mean, to like $50, $100 or whatever it is.
So all these owners that sometimes are like, they're looking, I have all this money, what's next? How important it is to have like the use of money in the real world? So, when you have your project, you do something also in the real world. For example, in Women Rise that I invested to, they help for women rights and all their like movement, and this girl made books about it. So she's gonna reinvest money in this. Is it important for a collection to have something in the real world as well? Or, for example, CryptoPunks doesn't have much in the real world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, and every project is different, whether it's utilizing some of that for the real world for good cause. I know World of Women does the same thing. They donate to a ton of different projects and female artists, and they do a lot for the space for women. And I do think it's important too, but not every project has to. It's just if that's a part of your identity and that's what's natural for the project, then I think that's a great thing.
To me, it gives me more like an idea of trust in them if they have something in the real world as well, because if they don't have nothing in the real world, I'm really scared that one day, like, I can wake up in the morning like, we just close the collection, we got all the money. So that's very scary to me. But
when we see World of Women, like, that's the big one for like the woman movement, just for an example. So like, we're invested into the Women Rise, and obviously it's a much smaller project. Do they follow a lot of the same trend lines as like World of Women? So say Women Rise, smaller, these guys are starting to go up. Does that project go up too? Do you think they like have any sort of
correlation like that?
From what I've noticed, sometimes, because sometimes you'll get a group of buyers where they think that, and they kind of all think alike. Well, let's say if you get like a group of 50 or 100 buyers, and they think, just because World of Women's going up, maybe this other female project will go up, and they'll go start to buy it before everybody else does. You'll see those trends, but I don't think too much, because I remember when Women Rise and there was a few other female projects that were out there, and they
Boss Beauties.
Yeah, they were going up, and they were pretty hot. I think World of Women was pretty stagnant at the time. I mean, it was still really high, but it wasn't really moving.
You know what? That's a very good point.
I think sometimes you can notice a trend, but sometimes not.
Yeah. What are some other like upcoming projects that you kind of have your eyes on?
So I'd say right now, like one that I'm really gearing up for, and it's because I get some too for holding original VFriends, but VFriends 2 is going to launch within probably a couple weeks. The exact date, it hasn't been set in stone, but they're doing like without getting into too much detail, doing like a friends list type of raffle where if you own certain NFTs right now in the ecosystem, you could potentially get raffled into being able to buy a VFriend 2 at like $1,000 or under. So that's going to be the initial price point to onboard a lot of people. I think that's what Gary's trying to do. So that's a really good starting price point if you can get to buy a VFriends 2. I'd probably recommend it because you're betting on Gary long term, and it's a good price point.
So he's the main person you've listened to throughout that.
Yeah, he's been a pretty big pioneer in the space for people in general, and he's everything I pretty much learned is from content he's put out, and then people that he's friends with like he's friends with Kevin Rose, who's the one that created Proof Collective, and they're both like extremely successful guys. And I'll follow like his content and Gary's content, and I like to follow the people that have been successful like in the tech space. And
it's crazy because Gary, I think he started investing in crypto back in like 2008 or something. So he started with that idea, and then he started like talking about it, and now he became probably like the best.
They say that
That's
Gary's
guy.
always been along the way, like one of the first ones to be involved in certain things.
Yeah, he's always on the new trend, the new wave, whatever it's been.
Yeah,
you know, whether it's been the trading cards or NFTs, social media. I mean, stacking these trends together, and now you got the metaverse and all these other things.
He's saying he's one of the first people to like understand the internet, and he was telling people like someday you'll be able to get on this thing and you'll be able to order like wine to your house, and people just thought that was crazy. And I feel like we're in the same spot right now with the NFT stuff.
We really are, and that's why like sometimes Gary rubs people the wrong way, and he'll even be one to say that. But like I think he's like authentic as it comes. So I mean everything
when he talks, he's very
passionate. And I like him that he's himself, and that's what I like. And everything he's said along the way so far, like in this space, like for VeeFriends, has happened. He's like, just wait and see where it's going to be in 6 months, 12 months, and it's like 5 years. Wait till 10 years from now. So like it's happening already in the smaller time frames. So I can only imagine where it's going to be, come 5-10 years from now.
Yeah, I think he mentioned about he compared the NFT to the internet idea. When internet came out, everybody was like, "Oh, internet is amazing," and then it went down a little bit, and then it came back up.
Yeah.
So he's thinking that NFTs are gonna do the same thing. So is that something that you think is gonna happen, or in your opinion, is something that's gonna be just going up still?
I think there will be a crash at some point. I don't know when it's going to be. I know right now there's so many people that are not in the space. I personally don't think it's going to be anytime too soon. I think there's still a lot of opportunity to grow before that happens. But there's just so much like money and like greed in the space right now. Just like people trying to make like a 10x or 100x to where like it's going to be bound to happen. At some point I think there will be a crash, and then the good companies are going to come out of the back end of it,
Right.
Like the Amazons, eBays, the larger companies out there.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what they're gonna do about it, because they're gonna have to invent something related to NFTs or Meta Wars or whatever.
And it's so early right now. You see these big corporations coming into the space to where they are like they're trying to like almost like get a piece of the pie, which there's not really a rush because it's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
But they're coming in, and you can see they're making like small mistakes, and they're learning on the fly because like everyone else is learning, and that's the cool thing is that you can see like big companies actually making mistakes, and they're not perfect with it.
That's very, very interesting. But hey, thank you for your time. I have one last question that is just like an advice for our young guys or young girls that want to invest in NFTs. What's your advice that you would tell them?
My advice is just listen to your own intuition. Like listen to your gut feeling, because so many people are going to try to pull you away that they're investing in or somebody else is investing in. Just listen to your gut. Only play with money that you can afford to lose. I went all in with a lot of my stuff, but I wouldn't recommend that. Just play with money you can lose, because at some point a lot of this could go to zero, which I think it will. So just play with money you can afford to lose, and stick to your own gut on things.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anthony, for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
For coming out.
And stay tuned, guys.